Hey, it's Spencer. We're out here in the agroforestry rows, about to do a management of the system. This row here is about a year old. This row that we're about to work is, I don't know, 2 or so months younger. So not quite a year yet. And this is just a regular management. Kind of right now we're doing it about every 2 months. Our management will come through, manage our row. This is a row that's been, this row here we just worked last week. Langsat, main crop, Langsat, Incala, Chupa Chupa, and Peach Palm, and lots of random things. Manele native soap nut. Sisu is our main low here. We've got pineapples, lots of pineapples. We got blue turmeric, we got a little comfrey. Blue basil, lots of things, just support things for our main crops. We got a lot of acacias out here. This is kind of our main, one of our main mulch trees. And then we've got a Nelea over here, which is a native tree, very fast growing. Actually, maybe the fastest tree I've ever worked with. That's about a year old, so that's probably 16, 17 feet tall. And then over here, Julie's starting to work. We've got, she's working one side of the row, I'll be working one side of the row. We're coming through, we're cutting the grass on this management at the same time as we're working the row. We find this is a pretty straightforward. Our rows are pretty narrow. We let our grass grow pretty tall. We just mulch it right into our rows. We've got Ingas that were planted before. We've got Lilikoi on. There is a Lilikoi crop. We are selling the Lilikoi to the meadery. Yeah, Lilikoi is a little bit tough to manage, but it's working out pretty good out here. And then you can obviously see here's the row that we're about to work. This one's got durian, safu, and pulisan. So this is the row that will be worked. It's very tight in here. We've got lots of grass. We'll see the whole process. Tall grass there. Here's our row that got worked. Here's our tall grass. This grass here is Mombasa grass. Very nice grass to work with. It grows very quickly. The clump grass, it stays in one spot. It's hairless. Very similar to guinea grass, but much more friendly. And then we've got just lots of different trees out here. Today we're not managing many of the big trees, we're just managing the small trees. Right now we're keeping our shade up, like this acacia here. Keeping our shade up to cover things. It's pretty intense time of year right now. So we want the high shade. We're not doing a heavy prune, just a normal quick maintenance. Lots of biomass down here, but that's about a foot thick. So if we can put a foot down every 2 months, we're doing great. And then we've got just tons of things in here. Nice peach palm coming along really beautifully. Some of these plants were pretty big when we put them in. That's just kind of what we had to do. All right. Beautiful. Incala. We've got some volunteers here just coming in, working on their own. And then all the things were planted. This is about a 15-year-old fallow before we cut everything down and replanted out our agroforest out here. Coming along very nicely. Pretty much all the trees were 30 feet tall. Now these are regrowths, Cecropias, Albesias, Ironwoods. Julie's over here starting on the row. Let's talk about what our process is here. So what are we doing?
Well, first we're doing the groundwork, which in this particular zone, we got a lot of little vines and stuff to deal with. So we're trying to remove as many as possible and trying to get a lot out from the roots where we can so they won't come back. They do seem to be kind of going down over time. So hopefully if we just keep at it, they will just stay out of the row in the future. We're also doing a little weeding if we see anything that we don't really want in the row, pulling that out and getting that either in the path or back in the berm here of mulch, depending on how invasive it is. And then we'll move up and kind of cut some of the sunflower at, waist height, knee height, just depending on what kind of shade we need to preserve for some of our babies down below. And then we've also got the acacias that we'll be pruning as we go through. Same thing, just managing shade for kind of our nursery babies down below.
Yep.
And whatever else you got to add.
Let's see in this one. Oh, that's exciting. We're having our safu sprouting. So right here, this is one of our crops. It's similar to an avocado. It's an oily fruit. We've got an older one here that's not doing super great. This one was a seedling in a pot that we potted. It's been in the ground quite a while, not thriving. Went and asked the person who I got the seed originally from for some more. Got some more, direct seeded it. I'm very excited about this guy. So this is why we've created this whole system, basically. Look at all this shade up above us that we're working on cutting down right now. We've basically created a nursery, like she said, for small plants. So this thing, direct seeded, it's going to be more drought tolerant. It's going to be healthier, happier. Just plants don't like to be moved. They would really rather be started here. So working for this thing, finding the right balance of shade and sun. We've got friends like our alapui right here. This is a nice shelter. We've got our sunflowers. Another nice shelter. Lots of plants going on here. And then we'll do a time lapse of us working it. Lots of grass here. We're cutting the grass at the same time, mulching the grass on. So the procedure is weed the ground first.
Oh, yeah.
Pull out problem plants. We really have 3 problem plants in this area. It is this plant right here, morning glory, non-native morning glory. It's the vigna, non-native vigna, and I guess we've got some of the miley here, non-native miley also. So we work on pulling those things out, get the roots where we can, and then we mulch them on top of our thick grass here. Grass mulch, look how nice that is. And remember, we don't have soil here, we just have rocks. So at the bottom of all this, like, look at what we've created in 9 months, 10 months. The beginning of something. So we throw that stuff down, and then we'll put grass on top of it. And then usually our other stuff that we cut on top of that. So we're just creating basically almost like a mulch pile along the edge of the row. Or not a mulch pile, a compost pile. And then just layer and layer and layer, and we come back and we do this again in 2 months. Do it again in 2 months. Basically forever. Until we have food out here. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so we just finished managing this row right here. I'll walk you down it and show you what's going on a little bit. Took us, I don't know, about an hour and a half, which was pretty quick. basically every cycle right now we're going shorter and shorter with our time that it takes to manage the row. Initially we started out with a lot more plants in here. We've been thinning it out, thinning it out, thinning it out. We're pretty much dialed into where we need to be. So now we just need to continue managing it. And this time we did not come through and manage our upper trees because we want to keep a little bit more shade right now down here because it's a hot season right now. So we want to just keep it nice and convenient for us to be out here. So I'm in the middle of the row right now. This side is much easier to look through because we don't have a lot of vegetation. Above me I've got Inga, I've got lilikoi. You know, we got some nice fruits coming along. But lilikoi vines are a pain to manage, so we're trying to keep it off our rows, but it's hard. Look, it's basically trying to get on our rows everywhere. Vines are very difficult to manage. Especially without a trellising system. It's very hard for us to pound posts here. We're on the rocks, so we need to use trees. So it takes a while. That tree is, you know, a few years old, took its time. We got a vine on it now. It's inconvenient though. Anyway, we can look down. Basically, you know, we were throwing, all right, let's get down here and check it out. So this whole section here was grass. We just cut it all, mulched it all over there. So what we did was basically we cut the row in half. When we were working this row, we took the grass from this side, put it onto that side. When we were working this row, we cut the grass down this line and put it onto that side. So with this type of management, we do need to come through and manage pretty much the whole system so that the grass can be synced. See, we can see over here that the grass is growing up a little taller. Over here, it's a fresh cut, just cut it. So we need to keep things like that, you know, in our heads when we're thinking about working these types of systems. We want it to be synced. We want it to be all hooked together. We want it to be thriving as one. So basically we're doing fat mulch rows here. Look at how, there's my hand, you know, we're 1.5 feet tall. All right, check that thing out. We're pretty tall. So we're creating a fat pile of mulch right here. Let's go down, let's check it out. It's actually probably gonna be easier to walk the other direction and check it out. Because of the shade right now, let me go over there. All right, so I'm at the other end of the row now. We've got basically more agroforest over here, unmanaged rows that need management. Look at sunflower way up there. Acacia is everywhere. All the rows were planted out the same, more or less, in terms of biomass, and just have different species throughout each row. Right here we've got a beautiful timber tree, Pomuli, South Pacific tree, grows very fast. That'll be a 10-year harvest for a timber tree. Then we've got our acacia here, which is another biomass tree. So here's our system. There'd be a cropping tree here. We've got biomass tree here. We've got timber tree here. Cycle just keeps on going. So you can see, right, we've got an acacia here. We've got an acacia there. Acacias are every 7.5 feet down the line, all the way down. So you can kind of get a picture of what's happening here. Super hard to capture these systems. So yeah, we've got shampoo ginger, awapui down here. Great plant. We use it as a biomass plant. We've got tea leaf here, same thing, biomass. We've got sisu, great low. And just all kinds of things everywhere. Real interesting in here. We've got an annona here, bullock's heart. Can't quite remember the species off the top of my head. Growing right next to our timber tree here. Excited about that fruit. We'll have some more safus planted throughout this row. We've got durians planted in this row. That's kind of the main stuff. So you can see really, just walk the row slowly. You can see the repetition, right? It's just the same plants over and over and over and over and over. Look at the awapui is creating a nice low cover basically along the whole row. More pomuli. And obviously, you know, I need to look up too. We have a lot of cover. These are albesias back over there. And then we've got our acacia here that we're working with. We've got some ironwood here that's wild. So we're, you know, and then we've got in the middle here, we've got more albesias. So basically we're working with the not wild plants that are here. We'll call them naturalized. Some of them are invasive, some are just here. And then a lot of things that we planted. We'll just walk it slowly. Right, we prune branches off these trees to get them to go up a little bit. Basically, what I've been looking at is you see the color of the wood change. Goes from gray down here to green up here. So I'm cutting off all the darker branches. Force it to grow up a little bit. Got more awapui down there. We got a durian here. Beautiful one. Right, and then as we can see up here, we've got our lilikoi chaos over there. Oh, lilikoi's passion fruit. And then we've got another annona here. Pashte. Nice big leaves on that thing. Planted those with the timber trees. Here's another pomuli. We can see here's a pretty good example of some stratification, right? We can see that here's our future emergent. It's still below things right now. You know, it's a young tree. We thinned out all these branches so that we can give more space to the things down below. We've got another pomuli here that's not as fast as its sibling. And then we've also got our annona right here. So the annona will be a nice fruit tree for us to harvest from. This timber tree will come out at year 10. We'll kind of see what happens with these. Maybe they'll only be here for 10 years too. And then it'll make way for our durians. This is our main food crop, our main crop. Also one of our favorite foods, so it's just a win-win. Our awapuis. We got some tree tomatoes also, pretty much down the whole row. It's just kind of a random one, have a little snack. And then we've got bouillon plant here. Very interesting spice. You know, we're getting into the shade a little bit of the lilikoi and everything. And what do we got? We got the same thing, right? It's just the same pattern over. We got awapui, we got pashte, we got pomuli. Right, here's a nice one, 6 feet tall. We got a coconut there that was planted previously, so we're working within what we already planted, what we're working on now. We've got, you know, a whole hedge right here, another row. You need to come and work. Another durian right here. More tea leaf, more tree tomato, more awapui, more tea leaf, more awapui, tea, more acacia, more pashte, more pomuli. We got a weed tree there, bing a bing. All sorts of things happening out here. Our rows are 105 feet long. Another row there. I think right now we have 6 rows. There's a coconut row also. We've got salak rows over there. It's basically just doing agroforestry out here, you know, just trying to live with nature. Look, we got birds living up in our mangoes. Lots of life. Grass growing nicely, grass on the ground, accumulating, decomposing. You can see down the row a little bit. Very exciting stuff. Feels good.